Ma, listen. We have covered database user. We have covered theory about database users. You can create user. You can allow permissions, grant permissions, and then revoke permissions, and then drop user. Similar to a table, you can create a user and then grant permissions or revoke permissions. This was the condition we stopped theory. Now we go to schema. What is a schema? Normally, what is a scheme? Scheme means the structure in which we wish to work. Okay, schema for tables means the structure of the table, the structure in which a table is defined. Normally, describe contacts. Whatever is displayed there, the column name, data type, constraints, all those put together form a schema. Schema means the table, the columns, the data type, constraints, and other details relating to a table. That is called schema. Okay, whenever we design a table, we follow a logical schema. Amritika, உன்னோட பிக்சர் காட்டு அப்புறமா அந்த லாஸ்ட்ல கார்னர்ல ஒன்று இருக்குல்ல அதுக்கு பக்கத்துல லெஃப்ட் சைடு வரும் அந்த கார்னர்ல ஒரு லாஸ்ட் ஒரு பிக்சர் அதுக்கு லெஃப்ட் சைடுல ஒன்று ஓடாம இருக்கு அது கூலிங் அந்த ரெண்டையும் மட்டும் காட்டிட்டாங்க அவங்க பார்த்துட்டாங்க. Okay, ma'am. Then schema means the structure of the table. Normally, a table contains columns, data types for columns, and then constraints. Default 0, not null, all those things are called constraints. And primary key, auto increment, all those put together are called schema. It's called schema. Remember the term schema. Okay. Then rules for designing good tables. How do we design a table? Normally, information is very large. It may contain several columns. In each table may contain several columns. What they say is you should not have too many columns in a table. When you design a table, you should ensure that all the columns are split apart. Okay. Okay. We need to define column names. Okay, suppose we wish to create a database for handling what? Handling rest duration of a person. The duration at which a person takes rest. Okay. You may define a table in which primary key, maybe ID may be the primary key. Location, where does the person take rest? Then time, duration, that is start time, end time, and the duration for which the person has taken rest. And the mode of rest. The person may take rest by sleeping, by chatting with others. I don't mean the chat you perform on your mobile phone. It's even speaking with your friends is called chat. It was called chat. The previous times, chat simply meant you speak with somebody, you exchange some information with somebody. It was called chat. Whereas nowadays it has assumed a drastically different meaning. Okay, then it may be about a nap. Nap means what? Interim sleep. It's not the full sleep. Just you take a nap for few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes during the class hours. When your eyelids are still open, you may take a nap. It's also considered rest. Okay. The thing is, you have to define columns for all these particulars. That is one ID number, then place, location, home, institution, road, bus, whatever it may be. Somebody may be sleeping during the travel. We consider this, that is the place at which the rest is taken. Then start time, end time, then mode. Mode means perfect sleep, or nap, or chat, or sitting silent. Everything can be a mode of taking rest. Anything can be a mode of taking rest. Okay. Then all these are considered parameters. Whereas what they say is simple. You consider dividing the table into as many parts as possible. You should not have all this information put together in a single table. You have to redesign it. You have to redesign it to what? To reduce information redundancy, that is repetition of same data again and again. I first consider a table. Okay, then I can make certain changes. Our initial table contains all these columns. What are the columns we consider? First column is ID. The second column is location. Third column is mode of rest. Then fourth column is start time. Fifth column is end time. End time. Okay. Then it looks okay. Whereas mode of rest can be only three. But what this can be? One is to have a sleep. The second one is a nap. The third one can be what? Can be sitting silent or chatting with your friend. Four modes. We permit four modes. Whereas instead of repeating all these again and again, you define a number for each mode and use that number. Assign number 1 for perfect sleep, number 2 for nap, number 3 for chat, number 4 for silent sitting silent. Then in mode, you need not enter the entire word. Instead, you enter mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, mode 4. Mode can be defined as a number. Then you store all this information. Mode 1 stands for sleep. Mode 2 stands for nap. Mode 3 stands for something else. You take it into a separate table. You take it into a separate table. Okay. This is called normalization. This is called normalization because when you type a sentence, it takes a lot of space. Whereas when you type a number, it takes only a small amount of space. Okay. Even in terms of memory, we spend less amount of space for storing numbers than for storing large string. Therefore, they say that you should not be, what is it, repeating unwanted information again and again. You should consider assigning separate tables for repeated information and have their ID numbers as your input for particular column. It's called this process. It starts with the first level normalization. Then you go in for another level of normalization. Normalization, it's called normalization. You start with a large table, then you normalize the table. You normalize the table. You segregate related columns into separate tables and relate them. You may relate them later on using SQL command. Okay. Normalization. The purpose of normalization is to create a table such that the way that each column may be closely related to the other. It's simple. You should not be repeating too much information in terms of text. It's better to normalize the table and make the information concise. You make the information as small as possible, as easy for us to understand as possible, as easy for the RDBMS to store it as possible. Okay, done. Then you go in for several levels of normalization. Normalization has got several forms. First normal form, second normal form, third normal form. Okay, what is normalization in general? Restructuring the table. Restructuring the table for avoiding repetition. For avoiding repetition. Okay. Then normalization. It has got normalization starts with the first normal form, 1NF, and ends with the fifth normal form. There are 5 normal forms for each normalization process. Okay. First normal form, defining column names and data types. This is first normal form. We have defined a table in a crude manner. ID, location, mode, start time, end time. All these are needed. I call this a crude table, first normal form. Then I divide it into several smaller tables. Second normal form. Remove repetition of data. You should not be entering sleep, nap, or chat, or silence again and again in the form of string. Therefore, we normalize it. We can consider normalizing several other things. I don't want to confuse you. Therefore, we normalize it. Location can also be normalized. Location can be your home, classroom, bus, or anything else. There are only few options available. Therefore, you can normalize the location also. Normalize the location also and take another table. Take this information to another table. You insert only 1, 2, or 3 for the location. Location 1 means home, 2 means institute, class, then 3 means bus. Okay, done. You can normalize it. You can go on to normalize. Second normal form. Second normal form, remove repetition of data. Whenever the data is repeated again and again, you can consider removal of such repetitions through splitting of tables. Then third normal form, define primary key for each table. Each table must have one primary key. Even if you split the split table should also have one primary key column. That is third normal form. Third normal form imposes that you must have one primary key for each table. Okay. It's like having a captain for a ship. When you send a ship into the sea, there is a rule that there must be a captain. There should be a captain. No, no, no. There must be a captain. A captain must be there to guide the ship. Okay, otherwise the ship will go into a wreck. Therefore, they do not permit anything without a captain, a ship without a captain. Similar to that, a table cannot be permitted to exist without a primary key. There must be a primary key for each table. Okay, however many tables you create, you have to define one primary key. That is third normal form. Okay, then first normal form, you select all the column names. Second normal form, divide them into suitable subtables. Then third normal form, define primary key for each subtable. Define primary key for each subtable. Fourth normal form, divide unrelated columns into separate tables. You have already divided all the tables. Then if you have some unrelated columns, there may be some columns which are repeated. Suppose a hospital has got patient name, address, and other things, and date of visit, time of visit, and other things. You need not repeat all the details about the patient name, mobile number, address every time a patient visits. You have to create a separate table, assign an ID, and then reuse the repeated data. This person has got ID number 100. Then the patient ID is 100. Time of visit, whatever consultation the person takes, all those things can be entered later. This is about dividing unrelated data. When you have a large table, you have to divide even the unrelated data into smaller tables. That is, you divide it into as small a unit as possible. Each table should be divided into as small a unit as possible. Fifth normal form. If columns in a table can be further subdivided into separate tables, you consider this. Okay, we started with a large table, with a single large table. Even for taking rest, we have started with a 5-column table. For real world conditions, you may have 30 or 40 columns for each table. You have to suitably divide them. And the fifth normal form subdivides whatever table can be subdivided right now. Okay, if you have possibility of subdividing the column, you subdivide it. That is fifth normal form. Then first normal form, define columns. What is first normal form? Define columns. What is second normal form? Remove repetition of data. Repeated data should be removed. Then third normal form, define primary key. Third normal form, define primary key. Fourth normal form, divide the table into suitable subtables. Divide columns. Columns constitute a table. Therefore, divide the columns into subtables. Then fifth normal form. If you can divide further, you subdivide the columns into suitable tables. Done. There are how many normal forms? 5 normal forms. And the most important is third normal form. Third normal form. That is define primary key. Each table must have a primary key. They may ask you which normal form enforces primary key for each table. Third normal form. Normally, this is the most important rule because without all the other four being properly enforced, a table can exist. Whereas if we forget about the primary key, the table cannot be used or reused. Then its life is over. Therefore, third normal form is the most important one. With this, we close the present session. What were the items we covered today? First was to define schema. Schema means the structure of the table. Okay, the columns, data types, constraints, primary key, and then whatever other things, default values, whatever other things we define. They constitute the schema. You can normally get a MySQL schema through describe command, describe contacts, describe ITI, whatever table you define through describe you can get the schema. Done. Then you go on to um, normalization of tables. Normalization of tables. There are 5 normal forms. First normal form, second normal form, third normal form, fourth normal form, fifth normal form. Third normal form enforces primary key for each table. Okay. First normal form, define columns. Second normal form, remove repetition. Third normal form, define primary key. Fourth normal form, divide the columns into suitable tables. Fifth normal form, further subdivide the columns into tables. Done. Okay. With this, we close the present session. You need to remember all these things. Unfortunately, we have very little amount of time. We cannot. All this is very good information. You may need them when you go in for professional work. Whereas we are